Hi everyone, this is your Hurricane Tracker video update for Thursday, September 16th of 2010. And we hope everybody's day is off to a great start. Wanted to start the video today with a few stats I found here that were kind of interesting for the Atlantic hurricane season so far. Yesterday marked the second time in history that the Atlantic has had two Category 4 storms out there at the same time, and of course that would be Hurricane Igor and Hurricane Julia. So that was kind of neat, the second time that's ever happened. And Tropical Storm Karl, when he developed, marked the 5th earliest date that the 11th named storm has formed out there in the Atlantic Basin. And if you remember, I don't know if a lot of you heard this, but Hurricane Earl was the strongest hurricane that has ever been so far north in the Atlantic. And Hurricane Julia is now the strongest hurricane ever that far east out in the Atlantic Ocean. So just some interesting stats I wanted to share with you. So let's talk about our three storms. We have Tropical Storm Karl, which is emerging off of the Yucatan Peninsula into the southern Gulf of Mexico. We still have Major Hurricane Igor and Hurricane Julia. Over in the eastern Pacific, there is a new area of disturbed weather to keep an eye on. Tropical wave is out there, and the Hurricane Center is giving it about a 10% chance at development at this time. So we'll keep an eye on this and give you updates if anything changes with that disturbance. Want to start off today with the first storm here, Tropical Storm Karl, which is located in about this position coming off of the Yucatan Peninsula. And as of the latest advisory, Tropical Storm Karl has maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour. The storm is moving to the west-northwest at 15 miles an hour. And if you remember yesterday, I talked about this high pressure ridge over the Gulf of Mexico, which is responsible for steering Karl on a westerly fashion into Mexico. Well, it still appears the high pressure is going to be just too strong to allow much of a northerly movement with Karl. And Karl should make landfall as a very strong tropical storm, or maybe even a Category 1 hurricane sometime Saturday morning between Tampico and Veracruz, Mexico. And there are a tropical storm watch here along the western coast of the Yucatan, and a hurricane watch here along the central Mexican Gulf Coast. So for you folks who live in this affected area, we'll keep you updated with the latest information on Tropical Storm Karl. And you can see it is a very well-defined tropical storm, but it is relatively small. The tropical storm wind field only goes out about 45 miles. So in terms of the winds, it is a very small area that's going to be affected. And the storm is not going to grow too much between now and its second landfall. And you can see the latest computer models, most of them are in good agreement with the storm moving west or even west-southwest here into central Mexico. And we'll keep you updated with Karl and let you know if there's any big changes in the track or in the intensity. But for you folks who live in Texas or Louisiana or anywhere else on the Gulf Coast, it looks like this high pressure is going to be your saving grace. Hurricane Igor, still a major hurricane out there in the western Atlantic. Sustained winds are 135 miles an hour. Storm is moving to the west-northwest at 9 miles an hour. And Igor is expected to remain a major hurricane here through about late Saturday, and then there's going to be some upper-level wind shear that's going to be affecting the storm, and that should help to weaken the storm to a Category 2 as it nears Bermuda sometime Sunday evening. If you live in Bermuda, you're going to pretty much take a direct hit. You can expect very strong winds above 39 miles an hour for about a 24 to 36 hour period. And the tropical storm force winds should start affecting the island of Bermuda sometime on Saturday, and then the storm will pass nearby on Sunday. And there is still this broad trough of low pressure in the western Atlantic that is moving eastward and will eventually pick up Igor and turn him out to sea. The only effects along the east coast are going to be some large waves and some very high swells, which will be affecting the east coast sometime on Friday and into the weekend. Very nice satellite picture taken from the International Space Station yesterday when Igor was at one of its strongest points here, about 155 mile an hour winds, and I just thought that was a beautiful shot to share. And then here today is the latest infrared satellite imagery. You could tell Igor has lost a little bit of its overall organization. Doesn't look as nearly as good as it has over the last few days. And again, it has weakened a little bit from 155 mile an hour winds down to 135 miles an hour. And our final system is Hurricane Julia. As of the latest advisory, moving to the northwest at a fairly good clip, 16 miles an hour, has maximum sustained winds of 115 miles an hour, and it doesn't look as good as Igor at the moment, and the computer models are pretty much in good agreement that they want to recurve Julia back out into the open Atlantic. So again, it looks like Julia is not going to affect anyone. Bermuda will have some effects from Igor over the weekend, and then Mexico between Tampico and Veracruz will have some effects from Karl here on Saturday and into Sunday. This is a satellite image that was taken courtesy of NASA and Weather Underground. This was a shot taken when both Hurricane Igor and Hurricane Julia were Category 4 storms at the same time. And you can see here at the time this picture was taken, Igor had winds of 145 miles an hour, Julia had winds of 135 miles an hour. And this marked only the second time in history that we've ever had two Category 4 storms active at the same time in the Atlantic Basin. So I just wanted to share that photograph with you guys there. Before we let you go, let's take a look at the latest animated satellite imagery for the three storms here. And the first one here in the upper right hand panel, Tropical Storm Karl. You can see it is a very well developed tropical storm, and as the storm is re-emerging over the Gulf of Mexico, it does look like the convection and precipitation is picking up, and that is an indicator that the storm is about to strengthen throughout the day today. Here's Hurricane Igor, definitely a very large hurricane. And again, organization is not as good as it has been over the last few days, but nevertheless, still a major hurricane, very dangerous, and does cover a very large area out there in the Atlantic. And lastly, here's Hurricane Julia spinning off to the northwest. And again, not going to affect anybody except shipping interest out there in the open Atlantic. And thanks for joining us today for our Hurricane Tracker video update. And we will be back to talk with you sometime tomorrow. And thanks so much for being a customer. And we hope everybody has a great day. And thanks for listening. Take care.